stamp comes down like a falling weight blessed by no god I know. Rubber kisses paper. My back shocks into being. A red rectangle, wet and exact. Letters thick as wounds. Error. Air scrapes across me, grit settles in the grooves, the sheet trembles under a gray hand. Quills hiss nearby and chain-bound cogitators murmur their breathy prayers. A clerk's tea sloshes in its tin, he does not look at me. The page moves. An hour, or maybe several minutes, passes underneath other pages, underladen with dust and old smoke. I cure, my corners harden. I stick to a sleeve and peel back, then settle again as the room hums its simple penances. I learn by pressure. Fingers crease the page, pressure is weight, weight is instruction. A thumbnail pushes at the line above me. Tithe assessment, sector local. 32 entries in tiny black while the clerk's lips mouth numbers. His breath is bitter. He reaches for the stamp again, wetting it on a pad the color of thick wine. Not me again. Not yet. And the page glides along a wooden table scored with tiny Mars like battlefields someone has forgotten. Brass runners guide the corner. A sunken-eyed servitor drifts past on humming tethers, lens eye clicking as it scans. Its auspex lumen shivers over me and moves on. Someone rings a desk bell. Someone coughs so hard spittle threads to their chin. Hands lift us. We are weight in a stack. I am face outward boxed. I taste binding glue and the fine chalk of papers long dead. One of the seals at the corner is a red wax coin with an eagle pressed into it. The seal is warm as if someone has kissed it first. The stack slides into a wicker tray painted in a flaking, officious blue. Blue is correction. I do not know it, I remember it. I do not remember anything, and so I cannot be wrong in what I remember. There is only this. The tray groans, the wicker flexes like a tired ribcage, a tag tied with string reads rectificant. My ink cradle cools further. Around me, other pages wear red like mine, but they say different things, MISPLDDUP math. A few are quiet, unmarked, but the corners show a bruise where a stamp once changed its mind. A woman with syllables of iron on her tongue says, "Bundle these, expedite." The tide tranche closes at vesper light. I do not know vesper. The woman's nails are thin blades. She clacks us into a stack with a bone ruler, lines us so sharply a mote of ash jumps. As I travel, I become aware of my borders in a hunger way. Fibers wicket me when my edges touch theirs. Paper is river, I can bleed into it if weight and wet say yes. When a droplet from a condensing pipe spats near, my lower arm darkens and creeps in a delicate capillary map toward a number a clerk has written. 8 that wants to be something else. I feel this as slow heat and a tug. I try again when the paper flexes. The 8 breathes wrong. It opens at the waist as if with a tiny sigh and becomes a 3. No one looks, and the tray bumps a tight corner and I rhythm into the stack. I hold the 3 like a child under my rectangle and do not know why. My letters scab further. I am dull now, matte and certain. A gloved hand, crackled creases filled with blue ink, plucks me. The hand's owner is narrow, jaw shadowed, spectacles rimmed with grime. He smells like dried fish and the tea. He reads the top line, officio tithe, grain, scrip, flesh. He does not read me, he moves me into an inward-facing drawer. A darkness is not hostile, it is cool where light has been running too long. Inside the drawer there is a whispering, not a voice. Shifts in weight write messages into my fibers against the backs of others. Hold, forward, back, staple. There is more, a furtive grammar of creases and clips of dog ears and thumb gloss. I grow in these small communications. I learn what staple means when something bites through us with tooth-edged iron. It pins my right side. The ache is clean. A strip of cloth tape goes over the wound. The tape smells of old blood. We travel bound and tagged to a window grilled with brass. Beyond it, there is a halo of dust around a lamp. A different hand takes us. The palm has ridges like dry riverbeds. The hand wears a ring that has never left it. The ring indents a permanent bruise. Rectificant, says a new voice, bored and pious together. There is no answer. In the hand levers a small stamp from a dish of water and marks the corner of the bundle received. Every stamp is a body being born. I know this now. They cry only in their first breath. A carriage track carries us toward a prefabricated maw of a machine that is neither animal nor shrine, but a little of both. Bells clink. A servotendril oils itself and hisses. The maw opens, swallows us in a wooden throat, and we begin to move sideways with a sigh, and as if we are on a gallery of invisible hands. Lighting inside is cold. My letters, which are myself, shine momentarily and then hide in their dry finish. Above and below, rollers spin and hum and speak in a voice that is not about meaning. I catch glimpses of other stacks, of old requisitions, of penal reports. I do not know these words. I know a face pressed flat between sheets like a flower, no, like meat, pale with old writing on it. And it groans once when a roller squeals. We thump into a rest. Rectify desk gamma, a cantered voice orders through a grill. A sense of ritual, thinner than incense, threads the air. Someone answers in a cascade of hollow numbers and moves behind a frost screen. The frost screen slides. A man with augmetics blooming silver blue at his temples peers down, lenses adjusting, iris widening and snapping like the aperture of a little machine saint. He touches me with a rod that is both brush and blade, yet it is warm and smears a pea-sized glistening on my lower lip. The smell is sweetly bituminous. See, he says to no one, error mark 10. Epsilon unauthorized wrong quadrant. He says wrong and the rod kisses me. The metal is tipped with something that feels like wind and sharp. It skims along my top edge, pain flashes into pressure. The left bar of my E vanishes. My rectangle's corner softens into nothing. I bleed a little, the bitumen eats at me with patient, delightful teeth. I flex my fibers. I pull. And I am a stamp, but I am also the willingness of paper to take on ink. I slide my weight down, into the previous lines, into the numbers. The 3 that used to be an 8 leans against me. I go there. I sink like oil. The rod follows and burns the place I just left. Sloppy, the man says very softly, almost prayer. Unpardonable. Who placed this? Behind his lenses, his eyes are bad weather. There is a name at the top of the page on a line that says responsible. I feel the name as pressure-only letters mean nothing when they are not me. Yet they also taste like iron has just left them. The man's thumb taps that line. He hums as if filing an edge. Bring me this one, he tells the frost. A chime flutters. Doors open and feet come and go. The rod hunts me. It drags back and forth, scoring the page. Wherever I had been is now bare fiber, gummy and pale like fat. Acne of powder dots the air and lands in the corners of my rectangle. I am not quick. I am only patient, but patience works in certain mediums. The page flexes as someone leans on the desk to talk. I pull myself under the staple bite, into shadow, into the eye of an initial above. The rod slides past. The man makes a noise, not angry, exactly interested. His rod-wielding hand quivers minutely in the way that a predator trembles when a mouse moves. The frost door bangs again. Who misfiled? It is the woman from before with iron syllables. She is carrying that old fish smell with her. She says a name that is a heaviness across the top line. A thin person in a rag of uniform says I, then clearer, I did, Then the smallest, most terrible, sir. My fibers tighten. The drawer darkness was safe. This is hot light. Heat makes paper expand. Expanded paper welcomes seeping. I seep quietly into the YN of approved/denied, where a slash will come. I am not cunning. I only move where wounds open. The man with the rod says, "Hold out your hands." Metal sings softly, a chain lifts. Something is set on skin with a dry clip. The thin person says, "Please." The floor hears everything. Even the mutter of dust settling makes tinny thunder transmitted through desk legs and machine guts. The floor trembles with a different drum now, slower, the weight of people standing to watch. "Please," again, and another voice laughs without humor, the way lamps laugh when oxygen is low. The chain gives once and bites deep. I feel it as a tremor in the desk, a little choked syllable, and then a white silence the size of a building. "Witnessed," says the woman. Someone marks a parchment with a different stamp whose letters I do not catch. We are not moving. The rod hovers indecisive, its tip beads with the bitumen that eats me. A servitor clicks tongue-like as its voxcaster enunciates something to do with quotas. The three under me waits like a muscle close to cramp. "Purge the line," the man with the lenses says. He is looking at me still. He is not satisfied that I am an error, and he wants to know if I am one specific error, or a way errors behave. He puts the rod down and picks up a blade straight. The blade's edge is the idea of straightness, not the practice. The world leans toward it. He slides the blade under the staple. The pressure that has held me there lifts for a breath, and I shiver forward. For a moment I am free of the tooth and the tape that smells old. I ride the breath as far as it will take me, then drop into the margin. Into the chalky white that nobody looks at unless they are very, very sad or done with being alive. "Where?" he murmurs. "There." He draws the blade like a pen across the line of my paper, taking the top millimeter for 2 palm widths. And in this way, he skins off me like rind off fruit. The curl grows and peels and falls, carrying a piece of my box corner. I will not have that corner again. The pain is definition. I allow it to nail me to this strip of self, to not let me drift. Underneath, and the fibers glisten, the blade moves again. Another curl, more of me gone. The man smiles a very small smile that someone else would have loved once. "Enough," the woman says from somewhere that is brass and authority in the throat and old coffee on the breath. "This is done." Rectified by removal. Batch and burn. Shock travels from her mouth to my page like a thrown stone to water. All the stamps on the desk know the word burn. Their handles tremble in a thin, woodish way, and the servitors hum and turn inward like night carnivores. A boy with sores at his lips scuttles to lift the fish-smelling thin one from the floor and fails to move him. Removal is what it says. We are gathered. The staple is bent back flat. The tape is torn with a soft whisper that might be apology. We are a ream again, our bodies together, the smell of ink and old spit and hair-thin fibers making a bouquet of life that no one in this place calls life. We go to a chute whose mouth is a black idea. I down it, the air is warm, then hotter. I am very light. I float when a draft reverses, but the weight of other pages bears me. Past me drift requisitions like dead moths, and reprimands like starved birds, and a brittle scrap with a face on it. The face's mouth moves in the bend of the air and does not move. At the bottom of the chute, flames lick like gentle tongues that do not yet believe. There is a grid where papers pile until they slump. There are hooks to pull the piles deeper. And there is ash like gray snow caught in a web. I do not want to go down. I also do not want. Want requires memory larger than a page's corner. I only tug, and bleeding is my tug's expression. I bleed. The heat brings sweat from somewhere, water drips from a pipe seam and spots me in 3 places. My E, my first R, the bottom of my box. I push myself outward under that wet like a vine seeks cracks. A carbon sheet is laid between us and something below, smut black, oiled, and I reach downward with thirst like fire has for wood. I touch the carbon. It is both mirror and sponge, both record and void. My red climbs down and becomes black. Not exactly me, but enough that when the pile slides, there are 2 of us where there had been 1. 2 go over, 2 are tongued by orange, 2 crisp at the edges. The black of my other self does not taste the same heat. It slides sideways under someone's boot and hides like spilled coffee behind a buckled plate, and the red of me goes nearer the grid. The heat speaks louder now. A hook reaches. It catches the edge of the stack and rakes. My corner tears soundlessly, perhaps. I do not have ears. I know tearing because the world is different on either side of a tear. More me on one side, much less on the other. On the grate, something flares white-blue, and then it is gone. The grate's bars glow in outlines where paper tarries, and the carbon self under the boot smears when the boy with the sores stumbles and places his foot wrong. Black lifts to his soul. He walks, and parts of me print onto a floorboard I have never seen before, then onto a mat woven of plastic rags, then onto the back of the boy's other calf when he scratches with his shoe. I slide with him a little, cocooned in layer upon layer of rubbings. Each transfer lightens me, each finds me again. At the edge of the incinerator pit, he wipes his foot on the lip in a nervous motion. The wipe leaves me on metal and heat licks, but not there, just near enough to feel like a father. I have forgotten the 3. I have not forgotten the blade. My corner it took is wind exposed. Every draft is salt. From the other side of the heat, where ink goes to violence, people speak. Quota met, someone says. Rectified. After the woman from before coughs again, and in her cough there is something wet that has been waiting days to announce itself. And the man with the lenses orders a thing I do not understand. Someone else repeats it. A bell marks the hour with miserly enlightenment. Below me on the grate, a half-burned page curls like a hand. It reaches and stops forever, a finger width short of the hook's end. Nothing marks that moment with a stamp. We are moved again. Or perhaps I do not move. Perhaps the boy scraping his boot on the lip moves me. I become a smudge on a railing. I become a residue on the thumb of an assistant who leans there to watch the burn. He peels away and rubs his thumb thoughtfully against his forefinger until the oily battery of the carbon warms and loosens me. His thumb leaves ghosts of me on the buttons of a keypad. One ghost stays. The button squeals and a shutter grinds. Somewhere a vent sucks harder. Cold drafts now. The flames gutter and lean away. The grate hisses under steam. Somewhere a pipe splits a tiny crack louder than an oath. And in the turbulence of this, the bundle near the maw slides. The stack in which I still live is red, torn, and solemn, drops a little and catches. My part of the red page is sticky from sweat water. When the drafts change again, I lift fractionally, and then a sheet from another pile falls and mates to me. It is an inventory of blades. The top line has a name for a blade that is supposed to be 10. Its 1 is faint, its 0 firm. Under contact and water, the 1 is bullied back into invisibility. In the line becomes 0. I feel this not as triumph, but as assonance. The way a vowel once learned opens the mouth properly forever. The hatch at the back of the incinerator yard is propped open with a brick. Beyond it, the girl with the shorn head, whose job is to sweep corridors, lingers with her broom, watching black snow rise. She is too young for her bones. Her wrists have red bands of work around them. She rubs at her eye with the heel of a hand, and soot sticks to the tear and turns it into a smoky streak. The streak begins an E unknowing. She blows out a breath and a flywheel somewhere catches the hint and hums. We are all connected by the same attention that never learned to name itself. I do not think such things. I only pull a little where my letters touch other letters. I am heavier in the rupee's belly and light in the last rupee's foot. I want wholeness in the way sugar wants water. This desire is nothing anyone can be punished for. Even it is also not in this place safe. The assistant with the thumb returns us to a desk in the shade of the incinerator's glow. There, carbon me, faint and furtive, prints onto a clipboard. The board is held together with a spring jaw that squeals when pressed. The squeal has a rhythm. Hello, goodbye, hello. The boy with sores turns it over once and the carbon shows through like a bruise to the wood. Batch these outbound, the woman commands. Waste, manifest, waste. A word that is all edges. I waste as the desk drink spilled and unable to be mopped up because someone is dying. Waste is the stray stamp that falls off and becomes a joke men tell to each other while they wait for their lungs to dissolve. Waste is not meant to become. I become waste. They list me. There is a column for anomalies. A pen hovers there, then touches, then draws a box. The box remembers what red felt like and blooms a little. We travel again. The room beyond correction is a corridor tunneled between shelves loaded like battlements with record crates. The crates are stamped with stars and wings and teeth. The floor is a worn map of thousands of journeys between. The servitors in this place are taller, their eyes red, their arms a little too many. Their breath is a prayer someone else taught them wrong. One of them leans down to sniff our manifest. Its nostril is a metal rose. Somewhere inside that flower a flame lives small and steady. Non-standard, it chants. Its jaw continues to open when the word ends and clicks shut a beat later as if its prayer lace hangs and snags on an unnoticed nail. Non-standard, the assistant repeats. He does not know which nail. The servitor reaches for a stamp, not red but rust. The stamp says something like, allowed. It comes down. The rust in it tastes like blood that has seen air too long. I touch it, and a fragment of that corroded righteous word curls around me and hides there like a snail under a leaf. Out through the corridor, the light yawns thinner. Night is climbing the outer walls. I taste its chill when the door opens to the loading court. Men with clipped hair load crates onto a trolley. In the distance, there is always fog, even inside. The trolley's wheels knock rhythm from the pitted flagstones. Someone is singing something off-key about tasks and wages, and the words break up like biscuits in lukewarm wet. On the trolley, we shiver. Beside me, there is a bundle of notices. Public floggings, upcoming rations, postponed, a foundling tagged and left for processing. The foundling sheet's edges are chewed. It has no stamp, only a thumbprint. The print repeats as the sheet shifts against others. Smaller and smaller echoes that will be taken for decoration by anyone sad or tired enough. At the trolley's horned prow, a bar lifts a gate, and we enter a passage that breathes hot and then cold and then hot. The trolley climbs onto rails and quickens. Racks overhead carry chains. From the chains hang charms made from broken tools tied with ribbon to keep the rails kind. They clink as we pass. Somewhere in front of us, a bell rings long. A shutter rattles open. We are swallowed by a metal mouth that tastes of old coins. The mouth is the entrance to the pneumatic. Air loads in its lungs. My sheet flexes. I hunker in my red and in my black. A new speed becomes the whole of my feeling, a single note stretched to a tautness that could be a prayer if there were a god in a pipe. Inside the pipe, we only know friction. Corners whine. The bundle vibrates so fast that letters salt off into the void like fat from meat over fire. My own barbs crumble, but their dust finds other fibers farther down the bundle and adheres. I am traveling in pieces. The pipe empties us into a basket with arms. The basket's arms are clothed with scuffed leather, and someone says, "Here we are then." Shadows, a new smell, stone kept damp on purpose. Archive. The arms set us down. A hand with missing nails sifts through the stack and plucks several pages without looking. The waste manifest slides left a docket of fines, slides right, my red self rides under both, and then emerges a shell. Into a quiet with no machine and only one candle guttering. The candle smells of tallow, yes, and something else like hair. A man sits there. His robes are not iron in syllables, they are velvet worn to threads at the elbows. His hair is a gray circlet on a pate that has learned surrender. He does not hurry. He turns his pen in his fingers like a prayer bead. He looks at my top line. He does not flinch at me. He draws himself nearer the candle to better see the errors, which is to say, to better see me. "Ah," he says, "and it is not a condemnation, it is a noticing." He reaches into a drawer and brings out a stamp. It is old, and the handle is smoothed dark by decades of human salt. The rubber letters have softened, their edges are tired and generous. He holds it above the candle just long enough to warm it, then presses it to the pad, and then slowly to my corner next to the part of me that the blade took. The letters sing against my skin. They are not red. They are a black as honest as a well of water. The word is simple. File. The ink seeps into me. It meets my red and does not fight. It makes new shape around me, as if telling walls how to be walls by accepting where doorways already are. The man threads a fine copper clip through the top with the tenderness of a seamstress. He has sewn boys in battle, I think, without thinking. His hands have that ritual calm. He sets me into a sleeping set of folders whose manila bodies warm and murmur in contact. We nestle so that my torn corner hides and my box faces outward and my letters eye the world like seals vapor-lazy in cold sun. Outside the niche, someone shouts. The archivist pauses with fingers in the drawer and listens. The shout repeats farther down the stacks. "Locked down," someone says, breathless. "Misalignments upstream. Somebody's pumped the vents backwards. Always," he says without heat. Then he takes a stick of soft wax, licks it like a wicked child, and presses a neat dot onto the bottom right of my page. When it hardens, he finishes it with a ring that only his family has seen. The seal is clear and tasted faintly of salt, and the impression is a bird too lean to be proud. The basket arms return. "Master," says a voice that is ashamed to ask. "In a moment," he says. "These won't burn untouched." He slides my folder into a hide-bound ledger. The ledger is warm like an animal. It closes gently as if we are not papers but sleeping mouths. Its clasp clicks like a satisfactory vertebra. I am in shadow again, not like the drawer's defensive dark, but like cellar dark where fruit keeps and people think before they say. In it is not safe, there is no safe, but this is what not unsafe feels like. Something thumps the corridor outside. Hot air pushes through an impossible crack. The candle gutters and grows a long black thread of smoke. The ledger shifts as weight knocks the desk. Dust drops from a beam and lands in the gutter of my box, making a little drift where once a corner had been. I can smell the archivist's hands still on me in the copper of the clip. Footsteps. Voices, the string of keys at his belt, and the ledger rides his arm like a child. We walk. The stone sweats each drop echoes. We descend. He speaks to someone I do not see. Doors accept the keys. Locks do their old work and feel young for an instant. The belly of the place accepts us the way kitchens accept the truth that something must be cut to be shared. He stops. He breathes. He crouches and sets the ledger into the mouth of a wall. The mouth closes. The keys go still. Above us somewhere, turbines cough wrong. A shudder goes through the bones of the building like the first hesitation of a kneel. The man resumes walking toward the place where his name is expected to answer its role. Behind us, the wall is simple and forgetful again. Shouts, hammerings. A siren almost, but not the kind of alarm that could also simply be the sound of a machine giving up. The pen in his pocket taps his thigh with each step. Tap, tap, tap. My red darkens as if remembering, down here, the air is slow and has time to taste everything. I taste oil, lime, the shells of insects, old prayers pressed into stiff monotone by obligation. I taste the seal's salt receding. In the ledger, the press of other papers is a form of sleep. I could spread a little if I wished, seep into the fibers of my companions, into lists, notes, little private jottings like stitches holding a veil to a face. I do. I creep. I become guests at the edges of names I have not earned, on additions to the notes of a death years old, a faintness at the corner of an argument between two minor departments over a cupboard. I am very thin where I am thin, thick where I am thick. What I am survives by leaning. The door opens again above, I think. Boots in hurry chorus the stair. Someone's candle leaves a moving amber on the ceiling like a slow fish, and the archivist touches the ledger once through the stone and moves away in a speed that is politeness to panic's necessity. I am a smudge on buttons. I am ash clinging under a boot heel. I am a black echo on a clipboard and a red stamp caught in the hinge of a file drawer. I am a ragged rectangle in the corner of a page sewn into a ledger. And I am somewhere I do not understand the name of but know the weight of. Safe for now because other dangers are greater. The building shakes at last in a way that is not arguing or hunger but a choice. Dust avalanches somewhere else. Doors slam, air shoves. The candle in the room where we were last guttering sighs and goes. Stone inhales damp. Inside the ledger, my face rests on a smooth page that smells of chalk and throat lozenges. I learn its fibers. They learn mine. Through the spine, and the copper clip cools a hair. The wax seal has a thumbprint in it, not mine. When the last of the rattling ceases, the quiet feels like a hand released from a pressure it did not know it endured. I listen through paper, I do not have ears. I hear mice shock still and then resuming their very old errands. I hear water remembering gravity. I hear far a voice say, number, number, number. There is a tiny crack where dust has settled beside my box. The dust grains gleam dully round as seeds, and I own them now the way a harbor owns the flotsam inside its ropes. I look, which is to say I absorb the shape of the nearest grain. It is round, then not when my damp tightens. It kisses my bar and stays.